There we go. Okay. Good start. Welcome. Hi, Cookie. Let's see. I hear myself. Let's turn me off. There we go. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else I'm messing around here. Cool. Oh, it's it feels like it's been a bit, but also I feel like we haven't left, so it's nice. Nice to be back with you guys. Hi, Queen. Hey there. Love a little profile picture there. Is that one of the Animal Crossing cats, or is just a nice little purple cat? I like that. But yeah, come on in. Water's fine. Yeah, today will be hopefully pretty chill. It'll be a showcase of stuff. Yeah, not too much working, hopefully. I probably won't be working on anything right today, but just kind of be showing off the last couple years or so of my labor. Anything if like me? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I like it. Profile picture. Oh, it's been a week. So we had Memorial Day, which really messed everything up. I mean, you know, thanks for your service and everything, but not for me, because I had to scramble to get everything done during this 4-day weekend while everything is supercharged with super busy amount of stuff that I had to do. So, hi, Stream Elements. Don't loop the music. Let's start over and let's jump right on in. There we go. Hi, Stream Elements. Let me know if the audio is okay, or I can. I do have a function called ducking, where the audio kind of dips down whenever I talk kind of loud. So hopefully that's working. That it should get kind of louder once I stop talking. Something like that. It looks like it's working. It's hard to tell. But that at least allows the music to be at a reasonable loud level, and then I can kind of have it go down a little bit. So it'll always be focusing on me and kind of going back and forth. But I know I keep talking the whole time, so the music's always going to be kind of low anyway. Anyway, yeah, it's nice to not be working anymore. At my day job, that's nice. Get a nice little weekend break. I'm still working, but it's just nice to not think about it for more than 12 hours at a time between each shift, I guess. But let's see. Okay, I am saying hello. Let's see. So yeah, hi Cookie Queen, Stream Elements. That was an eyebrow there. And hi Brony, welcome. How am I doing? Yep, that's what I've been explaining that. I'm a little tired. Work has been pretty grueling, honestly. It's been really tricky to catch up with everything. Because I do with trophy engraving, which means I have to do a little text plate onto every award. And people like to have personalized awards, which means that you can't just put the team name, slap that on there and be done. It's like, nope, it's got to be in this exact format with like every single player, team, sports player. So I have to do make sure that every name is spelled correctly and everything's formatted. Then when you get these super long foreign names, it's like, whoa, okay, let me just put your giant name and try to squish it into this 2-inch little space. That's always fun, but yeah, once it's like you have to do when your quota, basically, we don't have quotas, but it's like theoretically my quota would mean I have to do like 20 to 30 invoices per week during the hot season, I guess. So that just means I'd have to really work even harder because I only had 4 days this week to work on that many, and it's just been super tough. So glad to not be thinking about that for this little bit here. Now I could talk about how fun this all is. So this is, I'll just say that this is Blender 3D, 3D program, and check this out. Woo! So what I'm gonna go over is showcasing a bunch of my 3D sets that I made over the years for the Paper Derpy movie. Obviously, the Paper Derpy movie isn't complete yet, but I just wanted to kind of show like where I've come from. You know, this is where I started with tinkered around and trying to figure out how to use Blender. So wanted to kind of show off some of those while we're waiting, I guess, for me to complete the next chapter. So, but yeah, let's see there. Hi, vlogger. Doing good. I'm happy to kind of get a little break from a lot of work I've been doing. Let's see. Did you that I have Deviantart page? I know I got a Deviantart page. Not quite familiar if you have one. But do want to jump into this here though. This is my first attempt at trying to make a 3D set. Because I wanted to, if I go back to, let's see if I can show go back to the beginning here. I wanted to have certain shots. This is chapter 2 basically. I wanted to have a couple shots in here be, or some shots that were like gonna be too complex, or wanted the camera move, or you know, do things that be a little too tricky to do just in 2D. So I have a couple of these where this shot became a 3D shot, where it was a 3D set, where I took each character. I don't know if this will show. I haven't opened these files in years, so I don't know. There's my widescreen template there. It's not an animate. Let's see. I could remind myself what all this is. Let's see. Oh, happy early birthday! Awesome. Let's see. So I put different characters in here. Let's see if more characters show up. Yeah, there's my storyboard where the characters should be. I'm just trying to figure out what I put in all of this. Looks like it's just that, but yeah. It's a tracking shot or a panning shot where you get to see all the different ponies that are riding on the train, and then it transitions into the next shot where we see the door, and then so basically I animated this in 2D, and then I made the 3D set and was like, ooh, well, what if this shot in particular could also be a 3D set? So kind of pick and choose. Wow. So this was actually created in 3D. Like this whole background was actually used a 3D set in the final. So all of this whole background, all of this background was not used. I don't think even any of this, because it would have been, well, maybe it would have been used in the other shots, but definitely not for this. So get a little exclusive here. But yeah, here all the characters are now here. So all of these were positioned and put into the 3D space. And then I don't remember if, I'll have to check again whether or not this one was 2D or 3D, but definitely we kept going. This was the first time of like experimenting with the 3D sets, so it's like I was a little bit too nervous to like have everything be 3D. So I had like here and there like sprinkles of it, like, ooh, a little dash here, oh, maybe it's 3D here, 2D there, you know, kind of mix and match, which was pretty bold of me because I didn't know how close I'd be able to resemble, you know, the 2D backgrounds. Would I be able to recreate the 2D backgrounds that if you swap back and forth fast enough, would you be able to tell, kind of thing. So I just figured out, oh yeah, it'll be fine. Let me just go back and forth so you don't really, maybe you're not noticed. Welcome, Chaco. Let me pull up the actual movie. Probably should have got this earlier, but I just remembered that I probably get the video. Let me get to, okay. So, yeah, whatever. Okay. So let me get here. Oh, here it is. Here's a 3D shot. So unfortunately, let's see. What we got? What I sent you, like as a Deviantart message. Maybe not. I honestly haven't used Deviantart in years. I kind of got out of it. I don't know. I've been using Twitter more as my base, and using YouTube Shorts as my kind of go-to for videos now. I haven't used Deviantart in a while, so if there was like a note on there, unfortunately I probably have not read it. So sorry about that. This is 2D, and then should be, now it's 3D. So the fun part is that because I'm still using that Paper Mario aesthetic, it kind of works fairly well. You know, it's hard to tell. Oh, good. Because I'm using it's not like it switches, you know, too drastically, but you can definitely tell like between like some bits in here. These little green dividers definitely give it away. And yeah, probably some polygons here and there, but because I reused the same 2D assets like the lanterns and stuff, I was able to put the 2D, use the 2D artwork as textures and then place it in right on top of the 3D mesh, which then, because it's so basic anyway, that it actually kind of really works out pretty well with how simple everything is, and then use geometry where I really needed it. So a lot of this, this first introduction of Snake Shot is actually a 3D shot. Unfortunately, let me just say this, I cannot find and locate the blend files to 3D set files for all of this. I can't find any of my train animation. I can't find the 3D model for the train or any of its animations. So, unfortunately, I can't find it. I don't know if it's on another hard drive. If I had a hard drive that exploded, so I can't really find. I can't just like look in there like, oh no, it's an old one. So let me, you know, I have to switch it out or anything. It literally just doesn't want to cooperate. And so it might be on there. I looked a lot today, trying some different places, but still, it's not to be found. So fortunately, might be a weird blessing in disguise where I might not to. Because for my director's cut, when I finish the movie, I plan to do a director's cut where I put all the, you know, because these are in different videos. You know, chapter 3 is a separate video. I plan to put them all into one video and then do a bunch of enhancements. So I plan to redo a whole bunch of different stuff where I plan to, you know, I get to this point, I want to recreate the entire animation for a lot of this. Thankfully, I should have all of the 2D assets, and all I have is all of this. So I can definitely start from here, but I don't have the 3D assets. So that's what I was showing here, is that I have my first attempt. So I got this, but I don't have the finalized version of those couple shots. But there was only like 3 or so 3D shots. So it actually kind of works out of this. So this is 2D. This was a trace of a 3D shot, which maybe that should be in here. I wonder. Yep, here we go. So this is the 3D render. So you can see like how polygon it is. Then you can see the shape of here. So I took a picture, a render of the 3D train, and then I saw that it wasn't quite looking too well, or it's like it just didn't, aesthetically look too nice. Wasn't quite happy with this, so I was like, well, to mesh it better with the rest of my 2D sequence, I took another picture with the door open, and then just kind of filled it in with the rest of these different assets, and then recreated the entire background and with my 2D art, and then added up each layer so I get the different characters and the different pieces of all that, and then yeah. And so we recreated the background, so, and then added the other characters on top, the main characters, so you get this. But because it's based on a 3D, all the perspective and all that kind of jazz works, so then I have to worry about like, oh, is this correct in perspective? Is this line correct? Does this line with this line correct? Match it all up, so it actually kind of works out really well. Obviously, this is 2D. But yeah, let's see. Hi, Jed. Welcome, welcome. Going over the sad news that my some of my Blender files I haven't been able to recover. This was like my main crux of why I wanted to do 3D, is because of this shot in particular. So I wanted to because I wanted a really cool another camera panning shot where we go through the train. And I was like, how am I gonna make this in 2D, or it wouldn't be as impressive in 2D? I wanted a big hero shot kind of thing where it's like, whoa, this movie is, that kind of like opening, like, well, you gotta have the big pizzazz at the beginning to show everyone that's like, well, you should keep watching because I could do stuff like this kind of stuff. So I wanted something where it's like so cool. It's like I had this particular vision for months of like, how do I get around, how do I figure out how to make this, kind of work it out. So there's a lot of trial and error and just like, okay, let me try and use After Effects. Can I use, I was afraid of using Blender, because I haven't used Blender before this project really. So I was like, I wanted to figure out like, can I use some other stuff? Like, can I use, I don't know. And that's why I wanted to do After Effects first, because like, well, I learned that there's some 3D elements in there, but it's like, uh-oh, that doesn't work as well as it could, as well as a 3D modeling software that you can also animate in. So I was like, okay, let's just go into Blender and then recreate, the train in here, place all the characters in and everything. So, and then it goes back to 2D with this whole section. And then they jump off the train. So, but I was able to create a whole, like, extension by having the Z extension, by having all the, I had the scenery in different planes, and then had the trees in different places, and then animated really cool. So I'm just kind of fortunate that I can't find my files for this. But hopefully I'll be able to recreate it even better this time and have more. I have a plan to add more shots into my director's cut, so I plan to have even more fun with it. So it is probably for the best that I don't have it, but yeah. This is just my notes to make sure that I kept all the characters in line, and then know how many characters I needed. So there's a lot of weird amount of like extra work I did to set this up. And this is my texture scene, I guess, where I have the sun. So I have every asset but the 3D models and the animation of that animation. So I have like everything here, so I can definitely take from here and just like recreate it basically. So that should save me a lot of time. This is from the pony show itself as a reference. Got some other references here to like kind of figure out like how it would look, so I can recreate and make my own. But yeah, every segment here is its own little asset here that I had to remake. So there was tons of work of like, this is like every element to everything. So I had to like flatten it out. And it's like, what would you do if, if it was a cube and you had to like flatten it so it can like lay flat? Like, what would I have to do to make that? So there's a lot of floors and walls and doors. I learned that it's probably better to like separate it even further, or only use when I show like more later ones of these texture sheets. I kind of be a little bit more conservative or a little bit more economic with like how much I actually need it to be. I don't need it to literally be the door. All I would need is maybe a door handle, and then have this be a flat color of this, and then just a window. I don't need it to be literally its shape or have any other kind of extra features. Looks like I got it over here, but that's like when you're looking outside from the train. Another door. Again, I probably wouldn't need the texture to be all of that. So even stuff like this is like, well, that'd be nice to have, you know, everything here, but I probably just need, if something's repeated, if it's gonna be literally exactly the same or symmetrical, you only need like half of it, or you only need like this block and then this block, and then you wouldn't need also this, because that kind of wastes space, because you want to be as tightly spaced as possible. So not only like need like half of it and then just mirrored or something in 3D or stuff like that. There's a lot of like fun tricks like that to really make it so you don't need a whole, not to be literal with your texture sheets. Yeah, you can be a bit more fun little Tetris kind of problems. So yeah. Let's see. Just watch out for my actually best bud. Thank you. You're my best bud too. Best birthday for your birthday. Well, happy birthday then. I know I probably won't see you unless you're in the Discord or something. Here's a floor. Check that out. Again, I probably wouldn't need a literal taking this symbol background that I had. You see how the windows are transparent. Probably just need like one or something. And then have polygons of like these extra different shapes or curves or something. Or bring this out, or have more depth to everything. Here's a mountain. Here's a sky. So yeah, it's like breaking everything down to make sure that like we have everything separated from each other, so I can have, you know, a mountain and then repeat it, or have all these different elements. If I combine it like that other one that I had, if I combined it everything like this, I wouldn't be able to extract or like, you know, cut around this tree as easy as if it was literally just on its own. So stuff like that. But yeah, I got a little bit more ambitious, even more than this, in later episodes and later chapters. But yeah, this is unfortunately the only remaining remnant of the train that I have left. I don't know if I'd be able to really start from here. I'll probably have to start from scratch. I don't think this is, I think I modeled this in like the worst way possible. As my first like modeling, figuring things out kind of test. It's like it sort of works, but it's like it's definitely not gonna, it won't fly today like this kind of modeling. Also, this was a good test to see like if the lighting was gonna work, because obviously if you put a light in a source, you get these realistic-ish, you know, lighting environments. But it's like if I wanted to recreate my, you know, 2D art, there's no light source really happening. Everything's flat, you know. There's no spotlights or any kind of like real shading going on here. You know, everything's a flat color. It's not too much gradient. It's like some bit here, but it's like that's baked in. You know, you wouldn't be able to have a light actually hit it in a specific way to actually make that. So I had to find ways to also have the lighting be what I call full bright lighting, where I use an HDRI and set it to be 360 full lighting, 100% bright on every single, like ray tracing, but like imagine like one ball in the middle, and then everything's being lit evenly from that light source. Like there's beams coming out of every direction, and there's also no shadows or highlights. So I guess pretty cool where it's like, oh, I can have it look exactly like my 2D artwork. But I will have to open my file, so I will have to hide my screen just a bit so I can open the next file for you guys. Should I save it? But yeah, I have a bunch of different test files and stuff like that where it's like, oh, this will be fun, but also, yeah. I could do the lighting base real quick, just while I'm talking about it. Boop. So this is the lighting base. So I wanted it to look like there's no, obviously if you look from here, has the full lighting, and then this one has this viewport shading, and then this is the basic Blender lighting. But if you go full render, it should look like there's no shadows or shading into it. So it has very very loose there. If I add a light, I'm just gonna see. Yeah. So here's a light. I change the light settings. If I change it to be a different color and then crank it up. Yeah, it's like barely adding any. Let's go to shading, world. So what's going on is this fun little node setup of all these little blocks that tell the lighting engine how to light everything. So if how would I do this? I could turn it off maybe. Yeah, so when I have natural lighting, I get the green light that I added a green spotlight, and now you can see like a highlight, shadow. But if I go back to my HDR lighting setup, we remove that green lighting because everything's being lit by this one picture that's .hdr file. And so there's a bunch of different maps and crazy stuff going on, but it's just to set up how much, you know, I don't even know if much of this is gonna really change too much because there's so much. There we go. If you turn it off, it is additive. So it's creating this this white color that's being used as an HDR. Can I even show that? I don't think it will. But yeah, there's a lot of math, and it just kind of sets it up so that there's no, you can't even see the white box at this point because it's being a white box with the white plane are also using the same textures. There's like no texture to it, but everything's being lit by the white HDR, which is like this magic wraparound texture that has, like, imagine a skybox, but it's a sky sphere, and sky sphere has lighting information that can light up an entire set. So everything inside there would have like some sort of directional lighting and setup, how much stuff like that. So it's really cool. And this was the magic, that last magic sauce to make my renders look exactly how I want it to, with the lighting setup. So yeah, boop boop. Hello, Denny. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me switch over my files. So I will show another file for you. Let's see. Should I do? Let's do scene chapter. Whoop, what is it? Chapter 4, shot 1. Let me have it render for a bit. It's got to load up all the textures when you open it. That makes sense, but you know, it's gotta. So it just takes a bit. This is where I got too ambitious, where I was like, I can 3D model? Oh, okay. Let me just do that then. Here I go. And then I just, you know, casually modeled an entire city over a couple months. Yeah. Oh, and also an entire ocean, you know, because that wasn't enough. It's a lot of flickering. There's a lot of flickering because of probably the Z fighting. And Z fighting is where when two objects are kind of close to each other and they're two flat pieces of paper, the computer can't exactly figure out like they're too close to each other, so it's trying to figure out like how to render. Like, is this one in front? No, like this one's in front. Like, oh no, it's like two pieces of paper that are fighting to figure out like which one's in front of each other, and so the computer kind of renders it out as I don't know, so it kind of glitches out. But if you have it still and like actually like render it out, then it's usually fine. Like if I start to like move it, then it figures it out. But once it's like super close to the wall, then it starts to break. So, but anyway, yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's a ton of stuff to look around in here. I'm gonna use my SFM kind of look around view now, so I can use my gamer controls to kind of look around here. Let me get to the. Let me find Derpy. Okay. Did I pass her? I passed her. So here's Derpy. So I modeled just about everything you would need to see inside of the cafe. So it's a full room, but obviously on the left side of your screen you can see just about as much floor as you would need from that camera angle. And then the cafe guy, that's a bone. And then I think I just literally took the animate 2D assets and just kind of placed them back here, and then they animate there. But yeah, you get the burger and salad cafe, the Hey Burger. You get these little 3D carts pulling the 2D characters, which I'm very glad that I chose this aesthetic for this movie, because it would have been horrible if I had to like pretend that everything's a 3D character, you know? If I did it like the G5 or something, then be like, yeah, sure. Yeah. So thankfully I'm able to play and have jokes with them being flat and everything. But yeah, just about everything's either using a 2D plane or it's set up to be, you know, realistically kind of set up. These street signs have just enough geometry that if you're looking at it from most angles, it works. Trees are 2D. This lamppost is 2D, but you can see that the little flower boxes are 3D, but it's all very basic geometry. And it just keeps going. This is a huge city. A lot of stuff you won't be able to actually see in the actual movie itself, but I made it just in case, so you can see it for that brief little moment. Like, I spent so much time on making stuff like this, where it's like, you barely can even see this. But it's just in case. Yeah, let's see. Okay. Good night, Denny. Thank you. Boop. Thank you. Bye-bye. Let's see. Okay. You might be able to see that there's some purple squares. That's because I had to move a bunch of my PNG character sequences from one folder to another, and I broke a bunch of the connections between, because Blender is looking for a very specific image in a very specific folder, and because I moved that folder, these kind of break their connection, but I can always go back and find the original file for them, so it's not too much of a worry unless I actually deleted the character files, which I don't think I did. But yeah, it's more just that their image folder connection is broken, but there's like just, you know, there's just be characters or something. Thankfully all the background textures are still okay, so yeah. I spent way too much time on a lot of this stuff that's like, oh yeah, I'm sure you'll be able to see this gazebo. You can't even see it on the left side. You can't even see it. Let me get to the main. There's like a main road where I put everything in. Let me get to the beginning of here. So this is where we start. We kind of like drop down and then kind of go down this street. So this is like the main street where everything happens. But yeah, there's just like so much. I pretty see that some buildings are the same from each other. I don't know if this salmon one is the same as this salmon one. But we really like not look at it too closely. It's like, yeah, like there's enough that it's like it doesn't seem too repetitive. Yeah, there's a lot of little details in every little corner here. Here's the newspaper stand. You can pause it and see like just how many little references there are and try and get up close to each one of them. But yeah, tons of little doodles and stuff that was like, oh, I can just put them in here, you know, it'd be impossible to see. But it was like, yeah, like no way in a movie would you be able to see this close. But I was like, just gotta go ahead and instead of just having it be, you know, nothing, it's like I might as well build something, draw something in there. Tons of little Easter eggs on everything. Here's a little bridge. I remember spending way too much time on this as well, like these, adding these rocks and then adding these ripples and then making sure that every rock was like slightly different and like everything. I think the ripples also animate. So if I play the animation, yeah, it's pretty slow as it's trying to render everything out. It's out here. I'll put this to there, this to there. There we go. So lower the quality a little bit, but yeah, I can see like there's little tiny ripple animations. I don't know. Let me see. How is this animated? If I go to my, I'm sure why it doesn't show up here. Oh, there it is. Ask and you show receive. It looks like I might have animated this with shape tweens inside of Flash, like it's animation, like it's 2D animation, and then just made it kind of grow and shrink, and then had some shape tweens, and then put that sequence as a 2D plane, and then just have it be exist as a plane here, so I can kind of move this as an element, and then have it animate, and then I had to make every single rock placement and then, you know, set it up. So there's a lot of set dressing. It was a lot of the time, and also making everything. Yep, here we go. Let's see. Makes day. Awesome. Glad to hear it. Let me get out. Let me set up my things here. There you go. Where was I? Bridge. Whoop. Here's the cat cat stand with a lot of different cats, little shirts. It's really fun because it's like it's a little problem solving. I'm trying to figure out like, well, I could, you know, go ahead and like create everything as, you know, detailed as possible, or I could just play with the fact that everything's 2D, you know, and have, you know, all these little shirts and stuff being 2D, and, you know, and kind of set it up and, you know exactly where the camera will be, and then know that this is the angle that I want, and then set it up to look that as best as it can at this angle. If I was going to have an angle this way, then I would rotate the hats and then rotate the box itself a little bit or something. But yeah, really playing the camera and planning it out so much that I know exactly how long everything will be. So I animate everything in 2D first, and then kind of go shot by shot, and then animate the 2D stuff, and then bring those 2D characters into 3D, and then place them into 3D set, and then animate them here. So I know exactly what the shot is and what the composition is. By the point that I get to 3D, I could just kind of place them in, and then kind of shoot it from there and render it out. So I want to show a little bit smaller details you'd never be able to see in the actual movie. like this red TARDIS, this police box. I think I have another kind of character near here in the shot as well. Yeah. Thanks so much about a plush. I have so many plushes. I got the Build-A-Bear and one from a con that's kind of chibi. A lot of other merchandise. Like I got the mouse pad that has Derpy on it right now. Got a USB stick. A lot of little figurines. Yeah. Where's my full house? Well, I guess in my Animal Crossing house. I was like, I'll just put some Animal Crossing trees and little Animal Crossing house. I'll use the ice cream little stand here. Little Twilight Sparkle ice cream. But that's delicious. But yeah, it's like really, really simple. That's like, yeah, anyone can really do this kind of style. Whereas like make a box, make another box, plain. And then it's just up to the texture work, you know. Everything really relies on just how the colors are to really making everything pop. So I was like, yeah, you really look at the you know, if you look at this, there's like, there's no polygons into any of this. Like this box is literally a box, you know. Every little dot here has is one polygon. It probably has this, you can even see. It has 24 faces, 48 edges, you know. It's like the simplest thing you can possibly make in 3D. So it's like, as soon as you put like, you know, put the texture on and then light it, and it's like, whoop, add some thing. That's a cool asset. So a lot of this only really works because I have, you know, that strong 2D sense. That's like, I'm just applying my 2D knowledge and just literally just placing it onto the meshes. Because a lot of this, you know, I could have, you know, this is like a garage, you know, part of it, or, you know, I could have each individual ring here be, you know, out like this, or like have real stairs or something. But it's like, these stairs are so simple too. Excuse me. It's like, there's not much going on, but it's like, it's enough to be like, oh, that works. Especially in the chase sequences, that's like, you're just gonna be, it's like, you're not gonna have time to, you know, study it and be like, oh no, is this really, you know, really 3D? What's this? Or is like, is this little thing? You know, there's so much to it. I had too much fun with these cones as well. I think this is probably pretty high poly for what it is. This little cone. I think it's only like an octagon or something. Or what is it? 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh, it's a dodecagon. Or one of those 10-sided things. Yeah. I had a lot of fun trying to figure out the mechanics of trying to make these rings out. Works out pretty well. I think it's because, yeah, I subdivided it so that it literally had a ring, you know, here to work with that I could, I painted it by numbers. It's how I usually texture a lot of this stuff. It usually takes a long time because I literally go through every single polygon and then paint it by what color I want it. So if I go into here and then I want my cone, you see how I have it be, my UVs are literally just colors. There's no extra details, I guess, to it. But if I want this polygon to be white, I can take my little tiny polygon here that I put, and then I can slide it over to here, and it then paints it as white. So it does take a while, as I do have to go through every single polygon and change its color value. But that means I have a pretty good control over everything, and really can design it exactly how I want it to be, because I was pretty happy with this for being so simple. So So I can go in and like add other extra bits, like I can add subdivision surface, and that makes it much more smoother, but you would have to kind of play around with it to really make it super good. I probably could do something like this, but it's like I also kind of like it being kind of simple. It's hard to know whether or not. At first, I was scared to have too much, geometry, because I was scared that it might be too much for my computer, which it probably was for my old computer at the time. But now I got beefy PC that I can handle all of this and stream this at the same time. So I don't know how I'm doing all this at 60 FPS. So I probably could do every single asset like this and just kind of, and it still saw you saw how simple it was to like literally just add a button to this modifier, and then set up subtly smoother. My original aesthetic that I was going for was obviously Paper Mario 64 slash Thousand Year Door. So my graphics fidelity, I was thinking, a lot of my mindset was like, okay, try and make it as low as possible. Obviously that's somewhat easier to texture it the way that I am, where it's probably the slowest way to texture, where I'm like literally going through every single polygon. So like a lot of these buildings took forever because I had to go through every single polygon in here and set it up and really work on it, make these work. Remember a lot of these taking forever. And of course, once I got one, I was able to like duplicate it, and then I was able to add a hue shifter node. See if that works. Everybody remembers where I was last. Yeah, I got this hue saturation value node. So if I wanted to, I can see if I could just change the color of it and anything in between this original color, and then I add this little node. The nodes are useful. Is that now I can set it up so that this one in particular is not this color, and then kind of use the same building blocks, really basically, and then just kind of play with it and change different colors of it as well as the color ramp and stuff. So yeah. Yeah, and there's a whole beach and everything. There's a little tiny assets way down here. There's a lifeguard box. And I was like, yeah, it'd be 1 pixel on the screen really when you look at it in the movie. So I was like, you gotta pick your battles, It's like, do I really want to make this, super poly? And it's like, yeah, probably not, but just enough detail that it's like, it looks cool. And stuff that's super far away are 2D assets, like this lighthouse, if I can find it again. Yep, there we go. This lighthouse is 2D. Also this tiny little house that nobody will be able to see, but it's there as a little smidgen of something. And it's on this little rock here, which also has this little ring. I think it also animates a little bit. I don't think so. Oh, a little bit. You can kind of see a little bit there. Oh yeah, also the ocean also animates too. It's got some pretty simple nodes that took forever to figure out the exact style that I wanted, but once I was pretty happy with it, it worked out pretty well. And then there's a bunch of little tiny islands that have trees on them all the way out here. Just casually being an entire city and ocean, just for this project. But, this is the Snake Lands kind of mountains as a foreshadow, and then the sun. Yeah. You can see how, like, it's all very weird once you kind of break out the camera, but it's like, it works because as soon as you put the camera in the right place, everything falls into place, kind of like that. Or like these extra backgrounds and stuff back here or so are just so that if I happen to have like a gap between my buildings, I'll be able to have this as a barrier kind of thing. It's almost like a fence. Like I have all these buildings, but just in case I have some room or something kind of slips, I'll be able to have this as a fence to make sure you don't see back out here, past here and be like, oh no. So there's also like mountains and extra details and clouds, just to add a little bit more so once you kind of look down, like down here or something, you're able to see all of this, and everything's in the farther away from each other that it gets this perspective kind of parallax. But yeah, when I made this, I was pretty happy with it. I was so happy that this is like my biggest 3D model I've ever done. That's a big project. The other ones are in the later chapters a little bit smaller, but I think they have more details inside them. So a little animation of the shot itself. See all these little background details like these guys are going. Yeah. Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna let them go and I get some water and answers to them. Did I get any questions? Because I was very busy. Let's see. Cute. Thank you. Yeah, I like animals. I liked animals before Pony, so I'm glad that Pony has animals. Let's see. Hello. Let's see. Did I say hello to? Yep, I think I did. And not Sasha. So welcome. Let's move on. I'm doing a bunch of showcases of stuff of my 3D sets. So let me. So this is. That was 4. So I will go to 5 next. This one. Let me make sure the textures work here. Okay, good. Okay. So this is the steamboat that was in the 5th chapter. So it was pretty important to make sure that this was like a whole character unto itself, basically. So I wanted to really make sure that it was as sound as possible. I did a bunch of different sketches to set up what I wanted it to look like. It's based on, I think, a couple in particular, but not exactly one specific one, I guess, as a model. Definitely there's like motifs and stuff, and obviously I changed stuff for my own purposes and story purposes as well. You know, there's no steamboat that'll look 100% like this, basically, but it has elements of other steamboats, so that's what I'm saying. Let me just hide this for a bit so I can really show this off from every angle. But yeah, wireframe. Let me get the extras relationship lines. There we go. This is the wireframe. So again, a lot of this is pretty simple. I mean, I can, go through like the bottom hole of this and really extend it out and really add a lot to it, but it's like, again, you really got to pick your battles of like, do I really want everything that's smooth to at least be fairly smooth, or like add enough that's like, okay, I can tell what shape it is as soon as you add texture to it and like shade it, and it's like, oh, you don't really need more than that to really sell what shape it is, basically. So that's kind of my philosophy. It's like, it's enough to like really get the point of it. But it's like, as well as it being, based on Paper Mario, it's like I really looked into like how they modeled everything, and I was like, especially Paper Mario, that's in your door, and I was like, oh, a lot of this is hexagons that are just extruded. That nothing was really, a pentagon. You wouldn't really look at this and be like, oh, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 angles. Whoa, that's kind of low. But as soon as it's kind of like out here, and then it's like you're kind of looking at it for like 1 second, it's like, oh, that's enough, So again, with like the traffic cone example, I could go back in and like really smooth things out. But it's like I kind of like it where it's kind of, you can kind of see like the Malik polygons. I don't think there's an inside to this model. Yeah, it's just kind of like the reverse of all the outside ones here. I do have a different file that has the inside. These runners are really tricky because I wanted it to rotate, obviously, but trying to get it so that it would actually rotate on correctly. You can see like how it doesn't. It's got to be on the right axis here. There we go. So you can rotate it around. Yeah. Let's see. I think I got the little lifeboat with the tiny oars in there too. The oars have a slight amount of detail to them too. Yeah, just enough to get the point across, kind of a thing. And then some things don't work if you have low poly. So fortunately, the flag needed to be a lot because I wanted it to wave in the wind. So let's see if this wind is gonna blow. Looks like it's on. We'll see. Hey, there we go. Excuse me. So if this was any lower quality, it wouldn't really work as well. I really saw this as blowing in the wind because I needed to look like this. So it's like, it's got to be pretty high poly to make this work out. But yeah, this was fun. Get under say it. I was like, no, this was fun to work out. So I was using force fields, wind force fields, physics, using the plane, and then I think there's some, I want to say like magnets to like pin them. Oh, there's pins in place on these two vertexes, and then it's just simulating from the wind pushing out. So in theory, if I move the wind over here and then rotate it to now go this way, it should now re-render. And then, yep, so it's all live. That is not a baked-in animation where it only blows in a nice way. So if I wanted it to do this, I could. Let's see. Over here it sounds somewhere else. There you go. Alrighty. I just put it back in place, and then I'll move it to a different spot so you can kind of see that as well. I just kind of rotate it. A little hard to exactly see where everything is in 3D. Whoop, there you go. So now it's going this way. That works pretty well. You can see that the amount of polygons needed was kind of important. Again, if I do my director's cut, I'll probably go back through certain cases and try to round things out a little better, or more. Not really better. It's not like having it be low poly is bad, but I'm sure in some cases where it's a large object that's kind of prominent, and if it's only like a pentagon, then it's like, oh, okay. So, yeah. Let's see. Good night, Denny. Thank you for watching. Hope you watch the VOD later, any later videos and stuff. Thank you. But yeah. Let me go back till tomorrow. Thank you. Wow, this was fun. Okay, let us open the next thing. Let me rehide this, which means show, I guess. But yeah, a lot of this was like, I need, you know, kind of going back and forth of whether or not I want to, you know, design it so that the characters' motivations so that they can run around, or make the steamboat itself work. Was kind of a back and forth to make sure that everything, the story kind of worked. I just want to figure out too. Yeah, we're saying goodnight to me. Okay, I will go to the next one. Should I show the inside, or I think I have a different one as well? Oh, I have several rooms, so I'll probably have to do these a little bit quicker now. Just make sure I don't spend too much time on all of this stuff. Boop, boop. I forgot to do textures. There we go. So now I can see this is one of the rooms inside. Let me see if I can make the view part bigger. There you go. Okay. This is one of the rooms inside. This is like the dining hall kind of like mess hall kind of thing. But yeah, there's all these little details and stuff that are all kind of fun. This piano. There was a music track when Derpy goes into this room, and I wrote up a little cute little classical waltz with MuseScore, little classical full staff music thing. So when I was finished with the music, I was like, well, let's just use that as the piano roll, as a little texture. So only for me will I will be the only one who really knows this, but it's like, yeah, this is the real music that's actually being played on the piano. And the piano was also kind of low poly. Where'd it go? Come back. Get some new low wireframe and everything here. Yeah. So I think I just surgically cut through I took the boat from the first file and just cut everything out that I didn't need, and then left it with this. So I just get this room now. Yeah, a lot of this was a lot of duplicates because like every table here is basically the same. You know, take one chair and one table and then just duplicate it throughout. But I love all these little details that I did. I was like, oh, this will make it seem much more better. Is if I did every table needs to have a random amount of dinnerware. So they have the salad from the cafe and a little coffee and then a spoon with these cute little like ocean napkins. It's like these little water waves, and then every plate and everything has these little like motifs of these little kind of fanciness, and then a little plant. Yeah, everyone's got a different order, and there's different amounts of stuff per table as well. It's like it's like they actually ordered different things, and it was like slowly eating them at different times. And it's like, okay, like I could have, the easy way out is just like have exactly, the same amount on every plate, but it's like, nah, they order different things. So yeah, I don't know why. That'd be fun. Yeah, I know that where everything is in relation to the camera, so it's like I know I can get away with certain things. It's like I can get away with the plant being 2D, or like certain assets being 2D and certain things being 3D. It's like a Paper Mario kind of weird aesthetic where some things have black outlines and some things are props and some things are outlineless. It's like real world stuff. It's hard to tell what the exact rules are for that, but it's like, if it's okay for them, then I'm just going to that anyway. Cool windows. Made them opaque so that I didn't have to render what's outside. That's a nice little trick. And this elevator took a while to figure out how to sketch this out. This crank is fairly high poly for what it is. First kind of wheel kind of thing. And I think it kind of rotates around. I don't know which axis it is. Probably this one. But yeah, it's rigged so it can actually spin around nicely. I don't think the rope is rigged, but it looks like it's rigged enough that it can work. Did I? Okay, good. I was like, did I actually create some kind of mechanism at the top that you wouldn't ever be able to see? But I could have. Yeah, back down here. We got the elevator itself, which I think is rigged. Yeah. So you can see on the left how it can kind of go up and down. You have these safety warnings to be like, oh, watch out. And it's kind of scratched up as well. I had to like go back in and kind of like erase some bits in there to like kind of make it so it's a little worn down. Also, the elevator had some little scuff marks and stuff like that to make it a little bit more, you can see more old. Oh, this little dressers are cute. Yeah, there's not much to this besides all that I've said. Yeah, it was a little fun. These candles come back a lot. These little flames and stuff have they appear in like in chapter 6 and stuff. I don't know. Ah, they don't animate. Oh, but that shot does. Whoop! Oh, we can see the elevator. See how that looks in motion. Woo! Looks like I animated the crank on 2s because there's a character that rotates it, but I think all the characters are, yeah. So we don't talk about them now. Yeah, just quickly about animation is that every dot is a keyframe, and so it's saying what axis is going on and what animation is going on. So we go to, why can't I see animation here? There it is. There you are. It's got all these little stair-steppy. I could just, you know, erase all of these motions and then delete it and then set the keyframe to linear. And so then it smoothly spins around. But I wanted it so that it would work with the character animation. And so I needed it to be exactly in the right place, like at the right angle as you turned it. So I needed to have basically every frame be at a very specific angle so that when his arm is holding onto the crank, it'll be at the right position. And it's always kind of like off. It's not exactly linear, because like pose to pose kind of changes about. So I went through like all that. So there's a lot of synergy between, you know, it's not just using a 3D set just to get away with using, you know, that's easier, you know. It's like, oh, it's 3D, you can put the camera here, and then you don't have to make a 2D asset for it, or like, you know, plan it out and draw this at this angle. It's still the synergy of trying to make sure that the characters still work with the 3D set as well. It's like everything with the 3D set, you know, needs to be also work together with the 2D stuff, you know. So it's not like this. I need a direct animation between this 3D crank here plus the character. So I needed it to be also moving at the right time and everything. A lot of ambient stuff and some other later backgrounds as well, but a lot of stuff also was direct, like this 3D asset needs to move exactly in tandem or move it harmoniously, you know, later ones. Don't know what I'm saying anymore, so let's move on. Let's see. This one. This is the spooky hallway. Then a Derpy gets her into, like the elevator falls down and then she walks into this hallway, and we turn the lights on. So yeah, there's an ending, but I wanted it to have this kind of spooky glow to it, where it's like you can't really see the end of the hallway. So I made the fog kind of be just enough that when you get to, like one light here, and if you kind of move it further back, it'll kind of show further in. But I made the hallway just long enough down here that you won't be able to see that point down here. It kind of goes literally into darkness and just all black. So I made her just long enough. You can't see it. So with this little back wall here, if I move it back, you might be able to see it, like, or it'll change, you know. So again, probably can't see it. It's probably too far. Probably overextended it anyway. But yeah, this is an example of a repeated asset. So like the hallway is basically just like door light little column thing over and over and over. And I think this room has some fancy modifiers in it. Camera controls are like Minecraft, and I'm just not used to that. We go to the room. It has a array modifier, and array builds onto itself, or like it adds the next segment basically. So all I modeled is one segment. So I had the door, the light, and the column, and then this floor pattern. And then I said, for this model, please extend it or duplicate it again 13 times. And so you can kind of see where everything's kind of duplicated. But if I set this down to like 5, then I got 5 of them now. So it's just funny that I was 13 with that. And then I added all these little lights for the ones that you can see for these little lights here, because I needed it to actually light up. I could do a 2D texture, which I think I did at some point. I did a lot of different variations of this background. I did different versions. So you can see I have to like kind of just trying to figure it out. It's like the Z fighting in the ocean. We're just trying to figure out what it is. But as soon as you kind of let it sit, then it's like, oh, I understand, and then figures it out. But yeah, here's little point lights that have these perfect little spotlight shapes that I wanted. And yeah, it sets up really well. I went through so many different variations and designs for this that really happy that this one really worked out really well. I can always do more, but it's like it's literally in one shot, so I probably spent like several weeks just going through every single variations of this, like what I wanted. So yeah, this is why everything takes so long. This is why it's been 4 or 5 years making this movie. It's just because I spent like 3 weeks, you know, on one background that's in one shot. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. Yeah, let's see. Trying to go fairly quicker because I got lots more to say on some other ones. Where's my other one? Where is my other one? Is it this one? That'll do. Boop, boop. Reveal. This is the, like, I want to call it like the hotel room, where it's like where the snakes kind of hang out. Because I didn't want them to just, you know, the snakes are just really just trying to blend in at this point. So like they just kind of find a room and just kind of hang out in here. It's like it's all nice and, you know, kind of hotel furnished. It's like it's all basic stuff, you know. What did I put on here? Oh, it's a train. And then I guess those are pens or something. It's like, yeah, why don't you take the train? Or is this the boat? It's probably the boat. Is that a pamphlet for the boat? Yeah, it's been so long. Yeah, again, it's been like 3 years since I worked on this. If I did this again, probably for the director's cut, I'll probably add more geometry to the door. So I think it kind of stands out a little bit. That's what I mean, like, if it's a too prominent kind of asset that's literally in your face, I feel like it's probably better to go ahead and add a subdivision modifier, or, you know, add more geometry to make it look a little better. Because how it was a little bit kind of rough. But yeah, this is like almost like AI, where it's just trying to figure out, you know, mathematically, algorithmically, trying to round out the corners and everything. But it needs a little help to figure that out. I should make it a little bit more heavy. Is actually pretty good. You can always go back in and like really tweak it. I was like, yeah. Yeah, it's already way better than what it was. So I was like, oh well. It's how fast it was to do that as well. So I was like, oh well. I knew that the camera was not gonna spin too much around, so I was like, whoops. 2D trash can. It was like, I knew that most of this was gonna be kind of on one plane, so I was like, whoops. 2D pillow. So really using my 2D knowledge and just like literally just putting that in there, rather than spending the time to like figure out how to model it. Is like, just gotta go ahead and just use what I know with all the 2D stuff. And then to get this effect where you can kind of see outside, you get this nice little gradient, is that you get this nice background outside here. So right outside all these backgrounds is that you get this void, but to fill it out with the sky is that you had to add the sky in, and then to kind of get this kind of make sure it's not like any kind of plain background is that you get this little bit of space here, so Derpy would kind of stand right at the door. And then I think it's some other shots I literally have a duplicate of the hallway and then just kind of put it right there. Where I could find that one. Let's kind of swap to that because that was kind of fun. I didn't plan on showing this one because it'd probably might be some breakage, but it would have been one of these shots. I'm gonna see if it's this one. Yep, that'll do. Ooh, you can see how broken it is. That'll be fun. You get the point of it. Yeah. So this is one where I had to combine the different sets. You already know what this hotel one looks like. So these are the different characters in the animation. Let's see if they kind of hop around. This is the one where Derpy has the bucket on her head, and then she's kind of stumbling out, and then she breaks through the window here. But for this shot, it was like at a right enough angle that you can see through. Yeah. That through this angle, you can see right through the door. The door's open, so you needed something to see out of it. So I copy pasted the hallway background and then set it up so it's a. Looks like I changed the design a little bit, but it was still dark in the other one anyway. Now you should have those little nameplates. Yeah. Didn't really need to extend it that far, but you never know with this. So probably could have just gone through this room and just kind of set this down to. It was like 5, 6 to be safe. Didn't need that many. Oh well. But yeah, this is what happens when a Blender doesn't understand the colors you're giving it. It knows enough, but it's weird. So if I had to open this later on, I'll probably have to figure out like what's going on here. So it knows that there's these different textures. Is this a little example? I have to move away. Example where I put. This is one PNG, this is one picture that I put all of the different assets onto one sheet because I knew that each individual one didn't need that much detail. So I was able to just cram everything into one sheet and then on the side put all of the colors that I needed, the palette, the basic palettes, and then each thing that needed to be one big flat was in there. Here's this painting. Can't really see it in this view, but oh well. This is the. I don't know if I made this specifically, but definitely it's a Bob Ross kind of painting. Make it kind of those kind of hotels where it's just like everything's those retro, modern. Where everything's kind of like it would have been designed in the 50s, but it's like what the 50s dot would be modern later or futuristic. So I was like, yeah, okay. So it was all just kind of neutral kind of stuff. Anyway, let's move on, which I think might be the next chapter. So that might be 6. Don't save. What have I got? Should have put one of your Stream Bob paintings in there. I think I put one of those in chapter 7. I think I have a hallway, and I can put one of those in there. I don't know whether or not that particular one, that painting, was one of the stream ones, but it was based on the stream ones that we've been doing. Yeah. I think I showed a little bit of this last time, but it's always good to show off again. the castle. Let's get textures. So now we're getting into very modern how I want, where I was like, yeah, I guess having polygons is okay. Whatever, sure. Let's do it. Now it's just like, whoa. That's just all black now instead of the how it was before. Remember like the beginning of the stream, like the first ones where it's like, I don't know, box? Is that right? Should I is that okay? Is that too much for my computer? Now look at this. Jeez. But a lot of it comes from each individual piece having a lot more details into it. There's a lot of like sticky outy bits. Like if I just go into one piece here, just even as one piece, there's a little beginning guard station. If I go this into wireframe, you can see just how much more details there is in everything. Bad pony. That effect is there might be one of the there were bat ponies, but I'm not sure whether or not they would have had names. Might be an OC, more than likely. Biages in here. I got more fun with like trying to add different types of textures. I added like procedural textures. Played a lot around with that. Like I started out with just the mountain, and this whole environment was to set up all of this. Jeez, okay. I forgot how big this was. This is a large set. So I put a giant skybox in here just for fun. Really gotta crank up my speed here. It's like Minecraft. Okay. Let me switch my render. There we go. Because I gotta switch between different modes to get up here. So way back here on the other side of where Equestria would be, there's like one shot where like, because I wanted to show that we're on the other side of Equestria and that we traveled really far. So I added all these little tiny details that should be hopefully landmarks. I don't know if I drew them right enough. This is the Celestia Castle, and then I think we got Twilight's Castle and like the City Hall, and then we got the city that we were just at. So kind of shows that just how far we are. Because we got all this. And I believe this loads. There we go. And we also got animated water, which is a little bit more detailed than the day one, the city one. It's got a little bit more kind of layers to it. You can see how cool it is. Also, there's a bunch of different physics going on, so it's probably slowing down a lot for stuff like this with the boat here. Woo! I think I fixed it in some other shots where it just kind of turned it off. This is when you don't quite set this up correctly. So the wind is too powerful and it's at the wrong direction, but it works well with the flags up here. So it's like, well, I'll probably have to make a different, wind object just for this and then turn everything else off. So they can't exactly coexist at the same time. So, oh well. But everything else works. So you can see like all the little tiny details. Like I made everything kind of broken apart, or kind of. I don't want to do now. All those little details. But yeah, I first started with making the land here, trying to figure out like how I wanted to set up these textures, because it's a desert. So it's like I wanted this to be like a night desert. So had all these little details, this little path to get up to the mountain. But it's like, oh no, watch out, because it's by the, you got all these little motifs of the queen snake flag, you know, everywhere. All these little details that I put everywhere. I think I used a particle generator and said use the landmass and then populate the land with a bunch of different assets. Like I put the tree, a bunch of bushes, and then some rocks and everything. So I didn't place every single asset out here, but I just said like, just kind of randomly place them all around because this is so big that it's like I wanted to kind of just spend my time making stuff like this, you know, make little sections here. I got a Derpy for scale and this giant house. Oh, it's a little tiny. Probably have to stop the animation. Oop. Nope, stop. And then, okay. Oh, that's better. Derpy for scale, just to help me out when I was modeling. This is like my setup file. So this isn't like one of the shots in the animation, but it's just like I needed to have a basic file for everything. I think I duplicated a bunch of stuff, but a lot of stuff has been fun to like try to make little tiny S's like that. All this little stuff. Way out here is the outhouse. That was always fun. Yeah. And again, like all this is really basic. The farther away stuff is, the more easier it is to convince myself that's like, it's okay to have it be really low poly. But a lot of this stuff was fun. I think this dirt down here is using the same texture up here, but just kind of stretched out a little. Those little boxes. Those little plants. When it animates, they kind of swivel back and forth, which is using a loop animation modifier. So I just show one of these. So it is. Look at. I have a camera that switches. I wonder if I could just kind of hide that. So I think this has like 2 keyframes, but I set it to loop. Don't know how to show that right now. But basically I only set up like, oh yeah, there you go. I only set up pretty much just like 2 keyframes, so at the bottom, and then it kind of goes up, and then it goes back to where it was, and then say loop it. And so for Affinity, it's just kind of do these 2 motions. So in theory, I could have it kind of go one way and then come back, and then kind of do a different way and then come back and then loop that. So it'll have like woohoo, wahoo kind of motion. But this sufficed for what it is. That's the asparagus. And then all these different styles, where it's like this one that also kind of does this. And so by having these whole bunch of different assets, I was able to populate all of this and then have them kind of oscillate or kind of move on their own, basically. So during the animation, you can see like a whole bunch of these little things that have little, like as if there's wind or something going on or something to make the set themselves also the character, which I have a lot of fun with. And I was like, oh yeah, I can have everything kind of moving a little bit. What are you? That's the boat. A lot of stuff is here because of the story, you know. It's like, because I write up the story and then storyboard it and then 2D animate it and then try to figure out like, can it work in 3D? And then set this up. So a little tiny wishing well. And for some reason also has water just to make sure that there's something there. But again, it's a lot of the heavy lifting is done by the texture work. Because again, if you just go into solid view or a lot of these with wireframe mode, they're fairly more textured or polygoned, but still is like, you know, even you know, it's not Pixar quality kind of, you know, anything like this. None of this is. Let's see. What's over here? So for some reason, I spent time also making this also section just to kind of fill out the space, but also kind of add a little bit more story. That there's like these lower, you know, snakes that like they don't live up there in the castle. You know, I was like, what are they doing here? Didn't really think too much further than that. A lot of little. I reused the same assets from the other side and just kind of placed them around. So it's more just like set dressing with a bunch of different assets that I made from the first version and just kind of placed them over here. So they also got an outhouse. Yay. I was planning on adding a whole bunch of stuff back here, but then like behind the castle, but then story reasons there was nothing really to add back here. So this kind of came like a nothing. I have these for when I want to do little rolling fog or something, so I just have them back here. I would, in the animation, like put them in the right place or something. But let's see if we can go up the hill to the castle. This is so much fun. I usually don't use this kind of first-person kind of move around and stuff, so it's like, oh, this is cool. That's why I'm not familiar with this enough to really figure this out. But yeah, check this out. So I made this hill a couple different times. I like found a way to like make it like pretty high poly, and then I re-topologize it, which is like making it with like lower poly, and then just decorated it where I needed to, figure out what shots I needed, and then placed a bunch of different assets where they wouldn't get in the way what I wanted. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of different little bits here. I used a texture mask to kind of say where I wanted the darker pieces, this kind of road to be. But yeah, you can get all the way up here and get up to the castle. And of course, I don't have the castle is again like a TARDIS, where it's like you can't. It's bigger on the inside, so it'd be possible to put it in there. With my first step was trying to make this large enough that like the sets inside should be roughly to scale, but it's like no one really knows or really is able to care. So the castle's a little bigger on the inside. I put a whole bunch of different set dressing in here, but it's like you don't really. I don't think you really see any of this. Like I spent so much time on just making assets like this, where it's like, huh. Yeah. This little water barrel, a little treasure chest. I don't think it's even possible to see it. Also, it's clipping. There you go. Yeah. Because, yeah, again, I don't think there's nothing in here but the reverse of everything. You can kind of look into it and be like, oh, okay. Get to the top. I always like making it like, what's the organization where it's like the safety people? It's like, I always like make it like something like that, where it's like, yeah, always that little like safety. Like, they might be, a bunch of, like, ambiguous, kind of morally snake people. But, at least their buildings are up to code. I love doing stuff like that, where it's like the elevator in the boat. The elevator had that safety box around it, and, like, all these traffic cones in the city. It's like, I still want to be safe. Even the little kid that's on the skateboard, he's got a helmet. My original version for the city was that I was gonna have Derpy ride a bike, like Muppet movie or something like that, where it's like, oh, that'd be cool. couldn't quite figure out how to get her on a bike, and it's like it'd be more fun to like have her not be on a bike, or like some kind of, you know, setup to be like, oh no, she's, you know, she's like just missing it. It's kind of just derped in enough that's like, oh no. So I got the rolling trash can, which was way more fun for me. Yeah, if she rode the bike, I did snowboard her, like put on a helmet. But this is a really cool technique. This is really fun. This was inspired by Ocarina of Time 3D. There's like these grottos, and it's like this spinning kind of light effect. That's like, it's kind of like light cone. Looks really cool. So I worked really hard to figure out how to get that going. So a lot of this is different pieces. Okay, go off. Okay. Where it's using, yeah, so everything that's a different color is a different object. And so let's kind of break this down. Is that this up here is a texture that I created in Animate and drew this up, and then I added an emission node shader, so it's kind of glowy. You can kind of see that this kind of light up here kind of glows up and down. It's that kind of like ambient kind of stuff that's like always really fun. And so once I got this thing kind of glowy, I then added the cone, which I also went through a whole bunch of different versions, but if you kind of lay it out, it's a pretty simple effect. I'm sure that this isn't super simple to look at, but there we go. Basically, it's taking an image. Let's find out where that is. Stained glass blur image. Stained glass. That's that one. I need the blur gradient. So it's using these 3 little dots here. So I made this texture in Animate and then brought it into here. And so by arranging this block here with these 3 dots, I'm then able to stretch it along each polygon and then use some math and then some other math of use the frame number and divide it by -500 to slow it down. So this means that no matter what frame it is, it'll continuously update itself, so that on frame 1, it's frame 1 divided by -500. So if we go to frame 1, it should be apparently close to 0. And then as I clip through each frame, it adds a number. And so by adding that number, I can then have different effects by different don't quite remember how this works, but let's see if I can figure it out. Is that it's using this mix shader to combine this BSDF kind of principal image with this alpha, and then adding this transparent BSDF to make it so that it's a little bit more transparent by combining that with this other factor with this value here. And then I'm just reading what this is. Like I honestly don't remember how this works, but anyway, it's using that to move the UV coordinates, which might be a modifier. No, okay. I'm just seeing if there's any other effects going on. I think that might be it. A lot of the other stuff, like the Glow House, is also using so it's just adding. I think it might be using this one's using keyframes, where I keyframed over time and then set it to loop over time as well, or it was long enough that I would never have a shot that's like over 6 seconds. So I knew that that was okay. Or at least also make sure that this frame is the same as this one. So if I needed to loop it, then that'll also be fine. But I just set it up so that every or so couple seconds that it would change the amount of emission. So if I boost it up, then it'll be way too high, or I could turn it down to be essentially black. So it's like changing just enough so you can kind of get this kind of ghost house, kind of Scooby-Doo kind of glowiness to it. So it's doing that over time. But I also got this block here that I can't select. There we go. Which is using, I guess, this section, which is just a plain, but because this is the raw picture that I outputted in from Animate, so I didn't need to do too much node work. Apparently it's a lot. Okay. Might be doing something. Oh, it's just to set up the, see how it's kind of glowy between each here. These kind of keyframes is that it kind of gets more bright. So that's what that is. It's that these kind of brightness here. So I can turn it off or on, kind of like that, with this slider. So that's so cool. Because it's already kind of transparent in the 2D picture. That means it's already kind of transparent. So, and it's basically just taking the original artwork that I had from the original stained glass window that was up here, and then just kind of blurring it and then taking some detail out of it. So, yeah. And then there's so much more. There's so much to everything here. But yeah, let's do 1 or 2 more, and then we'll see where we'll go from there. More sequences here, or 3D sets. But yeah, there's a lot. Whew. Got tired just talking about it. Imagine spending a couple months just making that. Okay. This one. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Boop. Thank you. Okay. So this is the inside the castle, like one of the last couple seconds of the chapter 6. Can't even see her. Where'd she go? There she is. She's so flat. So this is again the last couple seconds. So I knew that I wanted it to be, you know, representative of what the future of the castle will look like. So I needed to design it in such a way that I could repurpose a lot of the details out of here, or a lot of the assets. So as I'm working on chapter 7, it's like, oh, I can reuse this pillar, great, or this door, great. You know, by spending the whole bunch of time in here with this set, I was able to kind of think in the future and like future-proof it, so that when I move on, it'll be more harmonious with what I wanted for later. So there's a bunch of little details here. Made it kind of, if I could make a snake reference, then I would, you know, like these little pots have these little very geographic, you know, very kind of graphic design, kind of fun little snake body, and then it's got a little snake tongue on this one, and this one's kind of like the snake tongue again, like a little design of it though. So put on these little column, little table, and those are used a bunch. I don't know, these little Greek kind of style, if that's right. Little pillars, and a little plot on it. And then using the this snake flag motif as as many times as I could just to really nail it in. I was like, okay, now we're here. As well as all leading up to, you know. And then these little tiny fun little ribbons. They're all flat. I don't know why I made it upstairs and then proceeded to super decorate the heck out of it. But I think I knew that there'd be, you know, an angle where, you know, we kind of get this kind of angle. So if there was nothing at the top or no windows or something, it's like it's just enough to really sell that this is a room. It's like it's the purpose of this room is obviously the drawing room, and that if she needed an audience, you know, to like say anything, everyone, you know, could like come in through this door and be like, okay, is everyone in attendance? You know, it's like, you know, standing room only, and also, you know, these nosebleed section basically. So you could get everyone up here, and they could all kind of be up here and do any kind of all kind of listening to her, to the queen. And then to fill up the space even more, we got those candles again. That's what I'm saying. It's all got to come back to these candles. They're everywhere. And I believe that these ones animate. Okay. They do not. Apparently in another section they do. But I got these little glowy things that are kind of cool. Is that if I move the camera, this is going to be freaky. If I move the camera in a certain way, might be able to see from up here. See this little, see that those are kind of moving around, they're kind of spinning. I targeted the, oops, I think I just did something. View, camera to view. I should now be able to move the camera. Okay. So now I am using the viewport camera and moving it around. And if I zoom in on here, you can see that what's actually happening is those little planes here, these little squares here, are actually rotating to look at the camera. So if I kind of go from the top, then it kind of freak out a little bit because they're like, wait a minute, I can't, what? So what's happening is that I lock the angle position of these planes to the camera, and so that they have a direct relationship, so that when obviously the camera is looking at it, then no matter what angle, then these little things will also kind of move to the right. They'll always be flat directly onto the camera. So this means that I can position the camera at the right spot and just know, you know, automatically that, oh yeah, these little glowy things will be at the right spot no matter what. So cool. Okay, great. Yeah. It's possible that, oh, here's when I got the destroyed version of the everything. So I go back out here. So before the magic bubble, everything was kind of in disarray. So everything's not quite ship shape. So I had fun just destroying everything. I made everything the correct version, the before everything destroyed version first, and then I destroyed everything later. So it was really fun to make sure that to just go around and destroy everything and try to get everything out. Cherry's also really high poly. Went through a couple different versions, and it's like it'll be a pivotable, you know, kind of thing. It's like I might as well just kind of go ahead and get it pretty high. Add a lot of smoothing to it. Obviously you can see through the windows now. So like on Steamboat, I covered it, so I didn't want to really have to care about everything outside. And so I was like, well, let's make it more dramatic so you can see outside, you know, you see the moon, you know. And so I put all these Oops. Yeah. All these mountains outside and kind of spit them out in a nice little circle around the castle. So every little circle target is the whole castle room there. By having it just be huge helps with the parallax. And also, you know, realistic depth anyway. So you get the stars and stuff. Some clouds. A nice skybox. Let's see. Good match. Yeah. Wasn't there like a sleepover with the CMC and Fluttershy? It was like the only really time they really interacted too much. Like in season 1. Here's the moon. Yay. And of course these stars are always flat. We got the sticks. Strings to hold them up. Like a little stage play or something. The fun part is to kind of mix and match between 3D and 2D. So I have the 3D mountains, which I think all of these are the same. And then I also have these 2D mountains, which again is that kind of philosophy that I did in the city, so that you get this ring of mountains that kind of go around, and just in case you can see through them, then you have the 2D mountains to kind of fill in the gaps, just to make sure that nothing gets through. And then you get this tiny little room. I guess here is the outside, so that when you're looking in, if you're from this angle and then the door's open or something, you'll have at least something here. And it's built just enough that, yeah, just enough that in case someone kind of looks through, it'd be like, okay, just from like looking out from that door out, you'd be able to see all this, and everything else doesn't matter. So yeah. This is the destroyed version. Let's swap over to this one. This is what it's supposed to look like. These are fun. These are kind of using these kind of blocks, and then it kind of flips at this point halfway up, and then swaps. It's like it's 2 pieces or something. And then doors. Doors are fun, and windows are fun, because I had to use booleans. So nothing. You don't really get a lot of this for free, so I had to make these extra blocks that I had to go around and say, hey, please, in this wall, I just get like a basic wall. Let's see if I can, yeah. So I have a basic wall that's literally 1 polygon plane, and then I can take, what do we got? That should be kind of fun, yeah. What time of, well, when I'll stop? Probably at the hour and a little bit later. I'll probably stop at the hour for content and then do toaster time for a little bit more. Yeah. So let me explain something probably really difficult. I did have these blocks here. That's the window. So the window, it's this purple window doesn't actually do any cutting, but this white block does. So it's like these two, kind of show them off. If I add the Boolean modifier, the other ones that are there, then they start to cut through. And so if I move this over here, then it should also kind of cut it. So I'm able to take this 1 polygon that had nothing in it, and then add an extra block, and then say, hey, block, if, or I can say to wall, actually. I can say, hey, wall, I know you only have 1 polygon, but I'm going to say if this block interacts and collides and, is touching you, then please cut out that shape that it's being used. By the shape of that, of this window shape that it's designed to fit this purple window. So you're able to fit this white block right in that position, and then, because otherwise, yeah, you can't see through the window because there's like a hole. There's no hole. But if I say to the wall, hey, can you please do that? Then it will. So if I turn these off. Boop. So, and then obviously you just get a hole if you just do that. So if there's an actual window in front, then you actually get a window. So yeah. Yeah, that kind of stuff gets complicated. But once you kind of figure out how to do one, then you can just duplicate that all around and get everything. But yeah. Whew. Let's see. If you have to leave or anything, yeah, don't feel like you have to be here. If I'm interrupting you or being inconvenient, then yeah, don't feel afraid. But yeah, usually I only do these for these lives are only for about a couple hours. 3 at the most, I would think. But yeah. While I was on the topic with the camera rotating, I want to go back to the city and just show that off one more time. And then this will be the last thing, because I still got a couple more minutes. What chapter? City. So I want to show this off one real quick to show how cool this is. That light one didn't really show it too well. But let's see. So if I go into camera mode, and then select camera, and then I'm just gonna put a couple things here just to make sure. Oh yeah, it's also on here. So let me get this one to be camera, this one to not be camera, and then you can check out how this looks. So because I parented my camera to the trees and to a lot of other assets, you can see, you can look at the left for one time and then look at the right for one time. You can see how cool this is. So this is what the camera will look like on the right, and then what it's looking like regular wise on the left. So you see, you get this cool effect because I mean, I don't need to, I get this row of trees, in this entire city's worth, a bunch of trees. It's like I need to, have them face, because they're all 2D planes, is that if I look at it from the wrong angle with this tree, whoops, that doesn't look right, or that doesn't look right. So I was like, well, great. Does that mean I need to flip and rotate and manually flip all these to like get exactly to be at the right angle for like 20 plus shots? Never fear. Camera-based retargeting is here. Object constraint lock track is here. So I tracked it to the negative Z position with locked axis of X, and then the amount of influence is 100%, because otherwise, yeah, is what its default is, and then what this particular camera is doing. So this means that no matter where I put the camera, it'll look just nice and look exactly at the right angle. So I do a nice little swoop around. You can see that the trees and a whole bunch of other stuff, I think. Yeah, that bush, like right here. You can also see that that's kind of floating around too and kind of spinning around. Ooh-wee. Getting dizzy. But yeah, this made it a whole lot easier to like just set up a camera and just shoot, basically. That means I don't need to worry about each individual tree looking exactly right. Because I'm using all these 2D planes, is like, it's important to make sure that they look at the camera. Obviously, if you do like a kind of shot like this, where you kind of orbit, it kind of breaks. But because I knew that most of my shots are going to be, like this, or just kind of pan across, that doesn't break it as much. So I was like, okay, good. And of course, on a case-by-case basis, if I need it to be, you know, kind of off, then I could just, you know, just turn it off or, you know, do some other stuff like that to manually fix it. But yeah, I was like, once I figured out this, I think it's called billboarding, like a billboard kind of like always looking at you. The trees in Mario 64 also do this, so it's kind of like, I'm doing this with my trees like 25 years later. And it's like, yep, technology has really peaked in 96. I was like, well, can't, better not fix what's not broken, you know? It's like, well, this looks really nice. So, there you go. Alrighty. That was fun. So yeah, let's go to toaster time and I can talk a little bit more. Let me close Blender to make sure that I'm not using my CPU for all of this now. I think I opened some stuff for like to show off the 2D textures, but I think you kind of get the point now that they're just all about the same. Where did my chat go? Uh-oh. I have to refresh. Nope. Okay. Let's see. Let me get some water here first. Let me find my water. Oh. Okay. Thank you for holding. Yeah, let's see. So it's kind of quiet without anyone. I can't see anyone. Let's see if the chat should be using the same properties as the one that's in the main scene. So I'm just gonna see. Doing this. No? Okay. Fine then. Well, hello. So yeah, I've been pulled in a lot of different directions. I got a bunch of different commissions and large projects that I'm also kind of been working on, as well as my full-time job. So unfortunately, it's been tricky to also find a time to work on a movie. So that's also why it's been taking a lot longer than usual, is because I've been, just been pulled in too many directions. And also I just get so fatigued and tired after work with my trophy award stuff. That's like, I get so tired. It's like, and then I usually just like make a point to like watch TV after 7 or so with my parents. So that means from like 4 to 7 is really about as much time as I have to really animate. And then if I'm working on something else or don't quite find the exact motivation or like really uppity to be like, well, let's go, kind of, then it's hard to work that day. So yeah, I'm gonna try my best now to really work on it, but again, it's like it's hard to really actually find the time now because I've been working on commission work and stuff. So, which reminds me, I probably should work on that as well. Make sure that that's all good. Because I've been leaving them dangling. So, oh well. As well as other stuff. Oh, big thing I was reminded of. Let's see. I will not be here next week. So let me. Guess I can. Can I duplicate this? Copy. Duplicate. Can I change this text? Cool. Okay. That's wrong. Next stream will be on the next after 17th. No stream next week. Okay. I guess because I don't have a chat, I can just put it up here. How's that? Thanks. What's a cute happy face? I don't know. There we go. Fix that. Okay. You heard the text. There you go. So, yeah, I will be on vacation next week. So, from Friday to Tuesday. Now you need to care about that, but at least for next stream, I will be. I don't know if it'll be flying at that time or definitely not able to sit down and do a stream next week. So, yeah, I'll probably remind you guys beforehand anyway. So, not gonna talk about too much details about the vacation, otherwise you'll have easy access to me. So, but yeah, I will definitely have a fun time. I'll be a little bit out of my comfort zone with what I'm gonna be doing. Kind of situations, I guess. So, but yeah, thankfully I remembered. So, thanks me. Yeah. So I know not everyone I was watching is still here. So, hopefully I guess you can mind them, or I guess I put it on all my a blast stat to everything. But yeah. So, in addition to having not much time to work on this anyway, now I'll also be taking a break anyway. So, great. Yeah, I know. But hopefully by doing these streams and whatnots, I've been looking over to see how much progress I've done on the project anyway. Has been really nice. So, thank you guys for sticking around with this for as long as I've been working on it. So, appreciate all that. Thank you so much. And here's to more. There's probably gonna be like 5 or more minutes of animation with 7 and 8 to have wrapped this up. So you think, just like, oh, just do 3 minutes here and then, 2 to 3 minutes here, that's easy, right? Now that I've shown you, on stream just how complicated just doing one set is, of like how expansive and how long each one takes. They didn't really show off much of the 2D textures, but I kind of did with the train one. Kind of showed that everything's kind of splayed out and kind of minimalistic of using each element on their own. So, but yeah. So, hope you guys have a good next week. Because I won't be able to be with you. Sorry. But yeah, we'll be back on the 17th apparently. So I just read that. So. But yeah, thank you guys so much. I will wrap this up. I will go have some food, and then I'll be back in a couple weeks. So, back in 2 weeks, will be next stream. So, thank you guys again. Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll have fun there. But yeah, yeah, it'll be fine. Hopefully, my YouTube credit score won't go down or anything like that. Because next on the 17th I'll try and do one for Father's Day. So I'll do an animation for that. And then we'll also have a video by the 18th or so. So hopefully it won't be too long that the YouTube gods won't say, wait a minute, where'd you go? Nah, we shouldn't recommend you to anyone else. So well, see ya. So, yeah. See number 10 to moderate. That'd be fun. Thank you, Cookie, for always being here when you can. Appreciate it. Yeah. Alrighty. Well, yeah, see you soon, guys. Thank you. Hello, Han. Um, thank you guys so much for watching, and yeah, I have a lot of work to do, a lot of packing and itineraries to figure out. So yeah, thank you guys, and thanks for all the support, and I do appreciate it so much. So thank you so much. Yeah, see you later. Thank you. Yeah, bye bye. See ya. Bye bye bye. Okay. Yeah. Bye guys.